So, welcome back to the Genus Brewing channel. Today we're going to be tasting our speed brews that we did. We have a guest taster here. This is Matt. Say hi, Matt.
Hello.
He's going to be our honest and impartial judge to help us decide which of these speed brews actually ends up being something that is maybe worth drinking. At the end of this, if we have time, hopefully we'll even open up a special bottle and do a tasting of something else. But for the meantime, let's get started and taste some of these beers. So we'll start with Logan's. This was, I'll let you talk about it.
So this was the blonde ale I brewed with the Wakatu hops and just a little bit of Pilsen and wheat dry malt extract.
Since I have no idea what your process or recipe was, besides what you just said, definitely drinkable. It's got a nice aroma, a little bit tart at the finish, but very light, easy drinking. Well done.
Nice. I get a little bit of like almost a lemony, and I think that's the tartness you're tasting, almost a lemony flavor. Do we use, it was Wakatu or was it Motueka?
It was Wakatu hops.
Wakatu hops.
Yeah.
Those, which both are actually noted for a little bit of like lemon lime flavor.
First water hops.
Yeah, so kind of a unique hopping addition. So
yeah, Matt has not even seen any of our videos, so
No.
he's completely in the dark. The fruitiness is subsiding on it too. It's been, what, 3 weeks now? So it's the Saz daughter, right?
Right, yeah.
Wakatu, so.
Yeah, it's a Saz, it's bred with Saz and it's between Saz and New Zealand hops. So yeah, you have a little bit of that Saziness and then
Almost reminds me, which is interesting.
A strong lemon, like that lemon is.
Yeah, it's almost a Sriracha Ace sort of feel to it.
How long did it take you to brew this?
15 minutes and 19 seconds.
Well done.
So this one's gonna be Peter's now. A little bit darker. You were trying to go for a red though, right?
I was trying to go for a red. I had very little steeping time.
I get like fig for some reason off of the nose.
Yeah, I could see fig, a little bit of like there's something harsh right up front. It almost tastes astringent, and I know I had a problem with, while I had to table what I was doing with the brew, go out and help with some customers here in the shop, I'm almost wanting to associate that with the fact that it boiled while the steeping grains were in there. There's not a ton of hop aroma, which also I had very little time to let my hops kind of do their thing with that.
Yeah. Up front, it's actually really nice up front. I really like it. The aftertaste is maybe almost like a sourness to it.
A sourness?
At the end, yeah. It's not bad. I'm enjoying drinking it.
Awesome.
But
so anyways, Matt, final thoughts?
both are delicious. I think I like this first one a little bit more, so
That's fair.
congratulations on the competition.
Yeah, the two major issues with mine were obviously the grains being boiled while I had to step away, and then I didn't have enough time to pre-chill my water, and so my pitching temperature was a little bit high, and so that could contribute to maybe a slight bit of extra fruitiness behind the yeast profile on this.
I think that's what I'm picking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the temperature when I added the yeast was definitely on the higher end of what you can expect, but trying to get it all done in the shortest amount of time possible. So, yeah, overall, I think for cutting as many corners as we possibly could have, doing everything that you are not supposed to do when you brew beer, I think both these beers turned out drinkable.
They did, absolutely.
Cool.
Honestly, I think it just comes down to the fact that my recipe design was a little bit simpler than yours. So it probably made for a cleaner beer because of that.
Bottom line, maybe don't take as many shortcuts as you possibly can, but don't be afraid to take shortcuts in your brew day. There's a lot of things that can still turn out and a lot of things that aren't going to create major flaws that, you know, previously you've learned that they do. So we also have a special surprise for you all today. We are going to do a tasting of a super cool beer. Matt brought it. That's the only reason we let him in any of our videos. So Matt, why don't you tell us about this beer?
So this is a special beer from Breckenridge Brewing Company in Denver, Colorado. It is the barrel-aged Imperial Cherry Stout, which has been aged in 50% whiskey barrels and 50% port wine barrels. So it should be really good.
In case it is carbonated, have a glass ready so I can immediately pour.
There we go.
That's not that bad.
Beautiful thing.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
immediately get a complex bouquet of cherry and that sweet port aroma.
It's interesting. I feel like I got the whiskey more.
You get the whiskey more. Maybe I'm just more used to smelling whiskey. Yeah, I feel like I can already get some sort of dryness that's going to be balancing out it just on the nose itself. And then I do get some barrel quality in there as well. And then I do get some whiskey following that.
But the cherry is very prevalent.
Yeah, that's what I get up front.
Just a little tartness even? Is that from probably the acidity from the cherries then? Or?
Yeah, that's probably the cherryness, but I think that tartness is in such a great balance right there.
It is, yeah.
You get obviously all the big stout flavors that you've come to know and come to love. You know, that chocolate kind of quality, smooth creaminess, rich overall mouthfeel is in there. But then it's balanced out with the cherries, the tartness, but then also a lot of times when you get cherries that are aged with beer, the cherry over dries it, so it kind of flips it to the other side and it's too tart and too dry. But
Raspberries will do the same thing.
Yeah, raspberries do the exact same thing. It's just that, but this is in great balance, and I think part of that might even be because of the port barrels as well. You know, extra sweetness from that port flavor, balancing everything.
Definitely
Right.
doesn't have the from what I've sort of tasted on a lot of other stouts. It doesn't have that kind of roasty quality to it. It's much more of a sweet, almost like what I think of for some of the darker Belgian beers without that Belgian yeast character, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of the way the port might be presenting itself can kind of come across as some of those, you know, familiar Belgian flavors. It's not going to be the banana and clove that you get off a lot of Belgian flavors, but maybe some of the more subtleties that you can get in those.
Not necessarily the yeast characters, but almost it's like the use of, I guess, the candy sugar and like special bee malts in there.
Yeah.
Which
There definitely is roast in there, but I think the roast is kind of serving the same quality as the cherries and the barrel. And
it's in the
whiskey.
background.
Yeah. It's balancing everything out. Matt, this is fantastic. Thank you for sharing it.
Good. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Do you pick up anything else?
It's not as stout as most stouts are traditionally. It's a little bit more easy going down.
Well, thanks again for bringing us some beer to taste, man.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers.
It's up there. Good beer.
Very good.
Tops. If you have any questions for us, as always, feel free to comment them in the link below. Please do subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.